Welcome to Children's Church. I'm happy to get to be here for our lesson this week. And maybe before too long, we can all be here together again. We've been learning about how God protects us. God wants us to trust Him. And God provides for us. We learned about how God spoke the 10 Commandments. Remember? God spoke all these words saying, I am the Lord your God, as He declared His laws to the people. Well, today we are learning more about listening to God when He speaks and obeying what He says. We're going to hear about how Moses made a mistake and how God still loves us when we make mistakes. Our lesson is from the book in the Holy Bible, the book called Numbers, chapter 20. For almost 40 years, the Israelites had been wandering in the wilderness. These thousands of people who had left Egypt as slaves could have long before been in a new land. Why weren't they there in the new land as Moses had promised? Because they wouldn't obey God. Remember when Moses wanted them to trust God and go into the new land, the promised land, the land of milk and honey? Remember when he wanted them to trust God and go ahead and go in there? Well, what happened? Some of the men said there were giants in the land, and the Israelite people listened to the men instead of listening to God. They wouldn't go into the land, and again, they disobeyed God. But they forgot all about how they disobeyed. They did not learn from their mistakes. All they did was complain, forgetting how God had led them in the past. Now, the people were once again traveling through the desert, traveling through the wilderness. See, they're out there in the wilderness. And one of the little girls says, I'm hot. And I've got dust all over my clothes and shoes. One of the mothers said, I'm tired of walking. My feet hurt and my head hurts. Another mother says, my biggest trouble is not having any water to drink. One of the men says, why did Moses bring us to this place anyway, where there isn't a drop of water? All of a sudden, everyone was saying, water, water, we want water. Then they started shouting. One said, why didn't we stay in Egypt? Another said, Moses, why did you ever bring us to this place? Was it to get rid of us as well as our flocks of sheep and our herds of cattle? Yeah, shouted several of the others. Yeah. Where is this wonderful land you promised, Moses? The land that was supposed to grow figs and vines and pomegranates. Why isn't there any water here? Water, water, we want water. Well, Moses and Aaron left the crowd and they went to the tabernacle, which is like a tent that was set up. It's kind of like their their church out there in the desert. And they went in there, and Moses and Aaron, they fell on their knees and prayed to God. And God heard their prayers. And God said to Moses and Aaron, he said, "Get Aaron's rod and call the people together." Remember the rod that Aaron had, the shepherd's staff that looked kind of like this? Well, God told them to go and get this rod and call all the people to come together. As the people watch, God said, as the people watch, speak to the rock, I will show you. So God is going to show them a certain rock, like this rock here. And God was going to show him the rock to go to. So God said, as the people watch, speak to the rock that I will show you. And tell the rock to pour out water. Show them once again my power and what I can do. So it was a rock that probably looked kind of like this. So Moses and Aaron wondered, how could this happen? How could it be possible that could happen, even though God told them exactly what to do? Then God continued, I will give them water from the rock, enough water for all the people and all their cattle and all their sheep. So Moses got the rod, the shepherd's staff. And Moses and Aaron went back to the people and called them to come together at the rock that God had told them about. But Moses was angry. And when you're angry, you don't always think straight. So Moses said in a very angry voice, "Listen, you rebels, do we have to bring water from the rock? You are always complaining," Moses shouted. Moses was so angry, he did not speak to the rock as God had said. He struck the rock with a rod. He hit the rock not just one time, but 2 times. He hit it with the rod. And the water gushed out. The water came pouring out. And of course the people and their cattle drank their fill of the water, which was very good. That part was very good. And so you can kind of see how they're all having water here as it's coming, flowing out of the rock. But Moses had disobeyed. And what did God think about all of this? God was very sad and very disappointed in his leader Moses. The Israelite people looked to Moses as their example to follow. God had told Moses to speak to the rock, not hit it. That meant Moses had disobeyed God. And what did God do about this? Listen to what God said to Moses then. Because you did not do as I told you and disobeyed me in front of all the Israelite people, you shall not be the one to bring the people into the land that I promised them. That's what God said to Moses. Not go to the promised land? After all the years of traveling over the dusty sand of the desert and the wilderness, Moses must have wept many tears. He must have thought, if only I had obeyed God. But Moses knew it was because he had not obeyed God. What God had told him to do, God had told Moses to speak to the rock, probably in a peaceful way. God had told him exactly what to say, and the water would then come flowing from the rock. But instead, Moses made a mistake. Moses was caught up in being angry, and he struck the rock. God forgave Moses for making this mistake, but since Moses was the leader that God had chosen, Moses was to set a good example to all the Israelite people as their leader and obey God. Even though Moses obeyed many, many times before, God wanted him to always obey, to set an example to others. Did Moses quit serving God because he couldn't go into the promised land? No. Moses knew he had done wrong, and he kept right on loving God and serving God. Moses knew that God is fair. Moses trusted God. And since Moses accepted his punishment without complaining, he became a good example to the Israelite people, following them as their leader. I can't wait to see you all again real soon. So, bye for now.